Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So in this video we are going to replace the pump of this cooler. Unfortunately the pump stopped working, and as you can see I have already removed the pump. So the pump was sitting there where you can see the white colored thing, and the wire was going through this pipe, and it was then connecting to these wires, which is connected to there on the switch, as you can see there. So what I have done is basically I have broken the wire from the middle, and to this wire I will attach my new pump. So let's just see what happened to our. So this is the pump. I've already taken it out from the cooler. As I've just shown you, I've broken the wire in the middle from the top of the cooler, and this is the wire. So this is the old pump. You can see the water scale calcium built up on the pump because of sitting in the water. So let's take it apart. So first you need to remove this part. This is the nozzle, and then you can take this part apart with your hand, and here you can see the compartment where the impeller sits. So there is basically a small fan. So if a fan pushes air, we call it a propeller. If a fan pushes water, we called it an impeller. So in this case it is pushing water, that's why we call it an impeller. So to take it out, basically rotate this part anti-clockwise, and you can see the impeller inside. So this is the impeller. This is supposed to rotate, and when it rotates it sucks water from this direction and push it through this direction, and to this part you will connect your pipe, and then the pipe will connect to your the cooler. So this part, so what happens when the cooler pump stops working is basically sometimes, most of the times, there is gunk. There is some debris inside the pump, or this part is not very smooth, but in this case you can see this shaft is very smooth, so the impeller have no problem rotating on this. And sometimes there is something stopping the water flow, and that's why the pump is not working. In this case everything checks out. So let's take the impeller out, and as I'm looking at the impeller, you can see the impeller is also in very pristine condition. There is no damage, no gunk, no algae buildup, or no calcium scale buildup. So the pump should have absolutely no problem rotating on the shaft. As you can see, it is easily able to rotate. So we can see that the problem is not in the impeller. So this is the first thing that you can do when your pump is not working. Check this part. If this part is not able to spin properly, maybe the problem is in this part. Clean this with some water and a brush. Clean this part so that the impeller is easily able to rotate. And if you do that, there is a chance your pump will start working. But in this case the problem is in the coil, because when I turn the pump on it doesn't make any noise, and the impeller is definitely not spinning. So I'm not sure how to test such pumps. So what I did was I basically took out my multimeter. Here's my multimeter. I set it to continuity and check the also set it to voltage and check the voltage on my cooler wire that I just shown you. And I checked the voltage and I was getting 220 volts. So the cooler has no problem. The problem is in the pump. So what you need to do is basically turn your multimeter into the continuity setting, and then there are two wires coming out of it. So if the pump is shorted out in the middle, you can put one probe on one wire, one probe on another wire, and you can see we are not getting anything, and we are also not getting a beep. So the pump is definitely not shorted. Now what you can do is basically turn your pump into the resistance setting, ohms setting, and we should get some number. But it doesn't happen with all the pumps, but I'm just trying to see whether this will give me some reading or not. So it is not giving any readings. So fortunately I had bought another pump. So when I bought this pump, I bought another pump. So basically I bought two pumps at the same time. So I had another pump to compare it to. So this is the second pump. This is the same pump. So inside the pump you will get a pump and a nozzle to which you will connect your wire. So let's keep the box aside. And if you take the wire from the new pump and then measure the resistance on the new pump, let's measure the resistance on the new pump. You can see that we are getting some value when we are measuring resistance. And the other pump that is broken is not giving us any value. The broken pump is not getting any value. So this is the difference between the older pump and the new pump. So what we're going to do is basically replace this pump, put this inside a cooler, connect the wires, wrap it around with some tape, and then let's see if our pump starts working or not. Before we do that, we need to check this pump with so I've got extension here. This is the older pump. Let's see if it runs or not. So before we do that, let me just put in the impeller. So to put in the impeller, basically put this part inside your tank, sorry, inside the pump, and then this part goes inside this hole, and then simply just tighten it up. So this is the pump that wasn't working. So if the pump is good, it should start making some noise even if the pump is not able to work properly. So as you can see, the extension is working and the pump is not making any noise. So the pump is definitely damaged. Now let's just do the same thing with our new pump. So this is the new pump, and let's see if it starts making a noise or not. Let me plug it in. And here is the pump. Turn it on. Let me put the wire properly. As you can see, it is making noise. You can hear that. So the pump is definitely good. So let's just put this inside our cooler. So here is my cooler, and here is a small space from where I can put the pump inside. And as you can see, I'm putting the pump inside. And now what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to route the wire through this pipe from here to here, and then we will connect the pipe to the connection there. So let me just do that. So I've routed the wire from this here to here, and now I've routed the wire to this part, and as you can see, I've got two wires here and two wires coming from the controller, from the controller of the cooler, and all I'm going to do is basically join these two wires, and then we will check our pump whether it is working or not. So I've attached the pump, I've routed the wire through there, and you can see, probably see that there is the wire, and I've attached some tape to keep this away from water. And if the wire connection is fairly on the top, this will not be affected by the water. So let me just attach the nozzle to the pump. And then I will attach the blue colored pipe, and then we will see whether the pump is working or not. So there is the pump. This is the nozzle, so let me just attach it. By rotating it in the clockwise direction. Now it's fairly tight. Let's attach the pipe. So the pipe is also attached. So now filling the tank with water, and after filling the tank, we will see whether the pump works or not. So the cooler is filled with water, and here is the wire coming out of the cooler through this window hole, and this is the wire. So let's take the plug it in, and when I turn it on, the water should be coming from the cooler. So let me just turn it on, and this part you should see start getting wet, and you can probably see that. As you can see, this part is getting wet. So now let me just turn the fan on. here we go. So there we go. This is the how you can replace your cooler pump. I hope you found this video helpful. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.